This video is made with the sponsorship of Ecrotech New Zealand, one source for all your beekeeping requirements. Hi, Trev here from Trevs Bees on Facebook and YouTube. Today I want to talk to you about a little toy that I have been playing around with and made. As you who have followed my videos will have seen, you know that I like polystyrene hives. But one of the things that I have found that with the polystyrene hives, and I like them particularly in nuke boxes, that's 5 or 6 frame nuke boxes or 5 frame nuke boxes, they are not made in 3/4 depth, and I run everything nowadays in 3/4. So I've since overcome that problem, but I was talking on the bee forum, and we discussed about making our own polystyrene hives and getting them cut out of sheets of polystyrene. But while I was touring around and I saw a friend down in Christchurch, and he's been playing with some new material that he had found, and I came up here back to Palmerston North and had a look in Bunnings, and I found this material. It's not polystyrene, it's a urethane sheet. It comes in a strange size. It's 1.2 metres, 1200 by 2100, and it comes with this funny little cutout on here so that the sheets can overlap, and it's made as a flooring insulation material. It's very hard, it's 40 mils thick, and I can cut it on my saw bench and it leaves a nice good clean cut. Wasn't cheap, it was about $60 a sheet. And I went home and I sat down, done some calculations, and I thought I can make some nuke boxes out of that. But being the contrary beggar that I am, I like my nuke boxes to be 6 frames. And that just gives me the flexibility of making a 5 frame nuke and have a feeder in it. And it gives me a bit of other flexibility. So I've done some drawings and come up with my version of a polystyrene hive, bearing in mind that I couldn't buy them in 3/4 depth. So this is what I ended up with, this blue beast. So we'll start from the bottom and we'll work upwards. The bottom's pretty simply made. It's just a rectangular piece of the sheet, 40 mils thick. Some of the offcuts I then stripped down to 20 mils thick, and I have simply glued those on in place around the outside edges and at 30 mils thick for the feet on the floor. Cut a hole in it so I could put a vent in the back, and made my floors like that. I have a 70 mil wide piece in here. One thing I did find in the process of doing all this, that the edges are actually quite soft, and I can make a dent in them like that. So I thought that I was going to have trouble with a hive tool getting in here and actually breaking this material. So we'll talk about how I fixed that later on. Still working from the bottom up. I cut some strips up that were 185 millimetres deep, and then started to fabricate what I wanted. I wanted to be able to have 6 frames, and what I wanted to do was cut rebates in here like that. So this board comes through to there, down to there, down to there. So just like we make a normal bee box, I cut that rebate out of the end pieces. I then also cut a rebate out of this end piece so I could sit my frames on. And in there I put a bit of signboard, which is this plastic laminate with an aluminium side facing on each. Cuts very easily on a saw bench, and I just cut these strips out and they just glued in, sitting on that shoulder that I had cut into here like that. So that come up there, and this side here comes down like that, and then I cut that piece out of there. And that then becomes the shoulder on which the frames will rest, and when they're resting on there, they come up to be flush. So out of 2 sheets, I made 4 floors. I made 8 boxes. And the reason for making 8 boxes will be a subject of another video some other time. I made 4 feeders. So these feeders are all rebated, just exactly the same. So the rebates come in here like that. I have a sheet of that signboard on here with a hole in it, and that's all silicone sealed down with a tube that comes through so the bees can come up here and get into my feeder. And this board is actually rebated into a rebate that goes all the way around there like that, just like we make a normal hive mat. My hive mat that I make, so if the feeder's not on, that's sitting on there like that. Made a lid, again just a rectangular piece, cut some strips with 20 mils hide, glued them on the side, and a little piece on the end, which is a bit of hardwood. That's my hive box, that's my nuke box. I can now stack this up. We understand where we're going from there, I hope so. So now I'm going to take you into the next technical part. As I said, every time you put a hive tool in here with this semi-softish plastic, like this foam, note there's no handles on here. They're only nuke boxes, I can pick them up just by, these only weigh a matter of a few ounces each. So I needed to harden the top and the bottom edge. So how did I do that? Relatively simple. This here, when I can find the end of it, this here is jib joining tape. It's fiberglass and it's got holes all the way through it. So I was able to put that onto the end, and it's got a self-adhesive on, trim it off, and that sticks onto here. I've done done the top and then I've done the bottom. Then I brought some epiglass or fiberglass material. This is epiglass HT9000 and resin and a hardener, and you mix 1 part to 3. 3 parts of that to 1 part of hardener. Comes out pretty liquid, pretty soft, and as you can see on here, it runs a fair bit. So far the bees haven't complained about it. And you can see it, it's run all the way down here and got bubbles under there. I don't care. And the bees don't seem to mind either. So I painted that on the top, made a good top piece, then I turned them over and I've done the bottom. So now I have my very, very light, homemade polystyrene hive. Well, not polystyrene, this is a urethane sheeting. I have tried it out, it's been under trial now for a few months. The bees love it. The bees work right out to the outside edge. So as you can see, 6 frames fit in here nicely. I like a 6 frame nuke because it means that I can have 5 frames of bees in here and the 6th frame can be just foundation or whatever, somewhere for the bees to expand on. If they happen to be into the 6th frame by the time I move it into a beehive, then that's so much happier. Rather than have half the hive full of bees, I've now got 60% of it will be full of bees. Makes a difference to how fast it gets away. If I need to, I can put my feeder on and I can fill this up with straw or a modified mat of some description in here, and I use bubble wrap. Maybe we're going to have a talk about that sometime on bee savers. I've got some ideas about bee savers and we can do that. So that's it from Trev and Trevs Bees, Facebook and YouTube. My version of a polystyrene hive. We'll see you around the beehive.